Hello everybody, Corey here with some bonus content. I had mentioned several times last week about wondering as far as, YieldMAX and the underlying versus if the stock market's red or green. So I already have some workbooks built that I've built previously, and I just used them and added the S&P in here so I could see, compared to the rest of these, where the S&P, if it was red, as you can see here, just to look here in column green. You can tell I've been up several hours doing these videos, and it's 1 a.m. But column B, just in this instance, has all the S&P data here. But just to show you, comparing this first column here, so we have AI and AIYY. This was January 3rd. Obviously, I have all the data down here through Friday, but January 3rd, the S&P was down, and therefore, in this case, AIYY was the winner. But on the 4th, the S&P was down, and AI was the winner. But what I did, I went and did a bunch of formulas and a bunch of background stuff that I'm sure none of you want to see. And then I have some little tables on the side for each one of these. But I'm going to scroll over to those. I wanted to just sort of give you an idea of that data. And then I guess I can hide that. And this is what we're going to look at. So let me hide this window as well. Oh, no, I hit it. I'm sorry. I got to scroll back over. Here we go. So that brings us now to this. So got all that data to get to this. Now, overall, which is the top, right? This is just looking at all of, well, I say all of, but I just realized it's not all of. This doesn't include YieldMAX and YieldMAX because those weren't on here originally because there was nothing to compare those two, right? Because they're a fund of funds. And I just realized Misty isn't up on here because, Misty wasn't out when I built this workbook a month or two ago. So those won't be on here, unfortunately. But if you want me to do a follow-up video, feel free to let me know, and I will do a follow-up. But up here at the top, you can see overall, if we just took every single one, where were we? So if you look, so I used U for underlying and YM for YieldMAX. And so this is including a total of 56 days. So you'll see this. This is basically telling you that the underlying did better 20 days, right? And here the YieldMAX did better 36 days, which of course a total for 56 days. Now, if we were looking at red days, this is telling us here the total of 24 and the green days 32 with a total of 56. Of course, so when we look at the bottom, it's going to be the same for this column. But, and then on the right hand side, the same thing, the percentages on the bottom. Like for instance, this one is saying 36% of the time the underlying. Let me check this. Oh yeah, because it does it based on that over there. 36%. The underlying was better, and then yeah, let me double check that. Yeah, okay. And it just doesn't seem right. But for a second there in my head, for some reason, I was thinking 20 divided by 36. What we're looking at 20 divided by 56 and 36 divided by 56. So 64% of the time, the YieldMAX did better. And then we compare, and then of course all of these are going to equal 1% because 100% because it's just adding those together. So if we look over here, this is saying that the underline out of the 24 red days, the underline, one of the ETFs, I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this. So on the red day, 23 on the 24 red days, the YieldMAX won 23 times and the underlying won once. And then, and again, this is overall, not one specific ETF. And then if we look at the green days, out of the 32 green days, the underlying won by 19 days. And then the YieldMAX had 13. And then, of course, if we want to see that in percentage, we have that over on the right-hand side. So YieldMAX did better on the red days by 96%. And then the underline did better on the green days by 59%. So I did that, and then I thought, well, that's great to see and overarching. But then I thought, well, what about each individual ETF, YieldMAX ETF, right? So if we go down, in the first one we have here, of course, we're in alphabetical order if you want to fast forward, but AI and AIYY, you can see on the red days, the ETF did better 88% of the time. But then on the green days, the underline did better 59% of the time. It's not a huge difference. But then if you look at the total there, the 60, sorry, AIYY did better 60%, 61% of the time than AI. It's interesting. Just these down here happen to be exactly the same sums and percentages. It threw me off there for a second. So if we go to AMD, this one I found interesting. Now I haven't looked through all of these, but I did see this one because it stuck out, right? If you're looking at this, AMDY did better on the red and the green days versus the underline. And then I thought about this. So again, we're talking about not the overall dollar amount. We're just talking about how many days these did better. And then if we look at AMDY on the percentage columns, you can see 71% of the red days it did better, and then 53% of the red days it did better, for a total of 61%. If we look at Amazon here, the ETF did better on the red days by 58%, or 58% of the time, and the underlying Amazon did better 63% on the green days. And then so overall Amazon has actually done better 54% of the time. So still, I don't guess any of these are huge like one way or the other. But if we go down to Apple, Apple did better on red days 75% of the time, and Apple did better on green days 63% of the time, with Apple being 54% overall. And then Coin, I think this was the only one that had a tie, but on the red days, Coney did better 63% of the time. Then the green days were 50-50 between the two. So then Coney overall ended up having more green days, or had better days by 55% of the time. Up days. Well, yeah. Sorry. My brain's a little fried right now. So, let's move on down to Disney. So Dizzo did better on red days 54% of the time, and Disney did better on green days 59% of the time, with Disney winning overall 54% of the time. We move on to Meta. FBY did better 75% of the time on red days, and Meta did better 72% of the time on green days, with Meta winning overall 52% better. That's actually a big difference on those, unlike if we compare it to above Disney, they were in the 40s and 50s. This one's a huge difference, 75 and 72. I don't think we had one like that. Well, this one was pretty significant, the 88%, but this wasn't then necessarily that big. And then we had a 71 there, and a 75 and a 60. Okay, sorry. I just, those two 70s there. But, okay. Let's move on down to Google or Alphabet. So GUI did better 63% of the time on red days, but Alphabet did better 69% of the time on green days, with Alphabet being better overall 55% of the time. The days, 65% of the days. If we move on down to JP Morgan, JPMO was up 63% of the time, was better. So actually, yeah, up shouldn't be the word either, because they both could have had negative days, and JPMO would have just did better, right? So JPMO was better 63% of the time on red days, while JPM was better 63% of the time on green days, with JP Morgan winning out 52% overall. Now this next one is interesting. Moderna. So Murni did better 75% of the red days and 56% of the green days, and 64% overall. So, yeah. So, well, okay. So we did have that. We had that with AMDY also. So we have it with AMDY and Murni. So we have two of those at least. Then if we move on to MSFO, or Microsoft, MSFO did better on red days 71% of the time, and Microsoft did better on green days 63% of the time, with MSFO being better 52% of the days. If we move on to Netflix, Netflix did better on red days 58% of the time, and Netflix did better on green days 69% of the time, with Netflix winning more days on 57% of the time. NVIDIA was better 67% of the red days, and NVIDIA was better 53% of the green days, with NVIDIA doing better 55% of the days. And we go to OARC. OARC did better 75% of the red days, while ARC did better 63% of the green days. However, ARC was better 54% of all the days. Oh, it looks like we've got another winner down there. 75%, PayPal was 75% more days better, red days better. And then PayPal was better 59% of the green days. I really can't talk now. PayPay was better overall 55% of the days. We move on to, that's interesting, the next one's different. Block, so SQY, did better 75% of the days on the red days, and then Block did better 69% of the green days, but overall they were 50-50. Then we go to Tesla, and so this is again, where I emphasize these are the number of days that one did better than the other, and not dollar amounts. Um, Tesla did better on red days, did better on red days 79% of the time, and then green days 56% of the time, with the overall number of days being 66% better. And then if we go on to the last one, which is Exxon Mobil, Zomo was better 58% of the red days, while Exxon was better 63% of the green days, with Exxon being better overall 54% of the days. So anyway, I don't know if y'all found that interesting at all. I know I was curious to see this. And then, of course, to see it broken down by each ETF. Anyway, let me know what you thought about this, if you found it useful or enjoyed it, or if you want to see Misty, since I did not put that on here. And then, YMAG and YieldMAX don't have a comparable, but I could compare them together if you wanted. I can compare I just put one max in one and YMAG in the other if you want to compare those two against each other, just to see. But anyway, this was an interest that I had, based off our videos last week, and so I thought I would do it, of course, which the overall thought process was correct, that, this shows that 96% of the time, the YieldMAX, they were winning out overall. But then, of course, the green was 59% of the time, and I don't have these color coded. But yeah, so the expectation is, if the S&P is red on the day, there's a likely chance that the YieldMAX, the ETF, will be better. Now, in some of these, maybe not as much, because like you can see here, AMZ was only 58% of the time on red days, or Dizzo 54% of the time. Let's see. We have a 58. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. 58 there. I have a lot of 75s and 79s. So, yeah, the majority of the time, these were all better. The ETFs were better on red days. And then, of course, on the underlined, most of them, not all of them, but most of them were better on the green days. The exceptions were AMD and, Coin was a 50-50. And then I think it was Moderna. Yep, Moderna wasn't necessarily. And then, was there another 50-50? Nope. Oh, and then we had Tesla. It was only 44% of the time better on green days. So anyway, let me know what you think, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.